Hello, you're very welcome to the latest PhD research video podcast. I'm delighted today that we have with us Shraddha Naidu from the city of Bangalore in Karnataka in India. And Shraddha is a first-year PhD student here at the University of Limerick. So Shraddha, great to have you with us today. I'm delighted you've taken the time to come and talk to us about your research.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for this.
No, delighted. And Shraddha, could I first ask you just to give us a little bit of background information about yourself?
Sure. So I was born and raised in India. I moved abroad when I was 18 to do my undergrad, and I moved to Bristol, where I did my master's in engineering mathematics at the University of Bristol. Between the final year, between my penultimate year, I did move to France for a bit to work at the National Center of Scientific Research in France as a summer research fellow, where I worked on detecting chemical gradients for C. elegans to just predict the behavior in chemotaxis. That was lovely. Came back and I did my master's, and after that I worked for 3 months for a company in London called Charged Up. Again, I worked as a data scientist, and after 3 months, I think I realized that what I wanted to do is stay in academia. So I started applying to PhDs, and fortunately I heard back from the CRT and got to do my PhD here at the University of Limerick. So I moved to Ireland. I'm in Limerick right now. It's been about a year, and I'm doing my PhD in, broadly speaking, in data science, but more specifically in applied maths and aspects of machine learning. And yeah, it's great to be here. Pretty city.
Excellent, great. And could I ask you, Shraddha, where did your interest in your research topic come from? And what did and as a result, then, what made you choose to do a PhD in that particular subject area?
That's a great question. So my undergrad, like I said, was in engineering mathematics, and that let me explore a lot of different versions of mathematical modeling and machine learning and computer science, and also applied maths at the same time. And while doing those projects, just by picking things I was interested in, it ended up focusing on machine learning. So that's why when I did my master's thesis, it was on machine learning sperm trajectories, and I picked what I found interesting, and that just ended up being machine learning. So my master's thesis I enjoyed thoroughly, and when I was looking at the CRT, I realized they had an option specifically for machine learning. So the interest was it was the career path just molded along the lines of my interest. And that's why it was machine learning. And more specifically, I think when I try to analyze what I like about this subject, it's the perfect marriage of maths and computer science for me. I get to enjoy applied maths, and at the same time, I get to do a lot of coding and simulation, which I really love. So I think that's why machine learning. And specifically a PhD, again, I think my career has molded according to the things that I like to do. I've just made choices that I've enjoyed. So my interest is in mathematics. My interest is in mathematics and coding. And the PhD was the most obvious choice for me to continue this research, because I got to be with what I love, and I got to be around people who do things that I love. So I think it was the most natural choice for me.
Excellent. And then you just began to explain to us there about why Limerick, so why the University of Limerick was, why was that chosen by you as the place, as the institution to come to undertake your research?
Well, when I was looking for PhD options, nothing was as promising and supportive as the SFI, which is the Science Foundation Ireland funded CRT, which is the Centre for Research Training and Foundations of Data Science. So I wanted to be a part of the organization. And when I applied to the organization, we had an option of 3 partner universities, and fortunately Limerick offered me a place, and I just couldn't say no, because when I was finishing my master's in Bristol, my head of department spoke very highly of the MAXI department, and he insisted that this was the way to go. He said that Limerick is a great place to be for specifically what I want to do. So I just couldn't say no. I had positive feedback from all over the from all across the board. So that's why Limerick.
Excellent, and I'm glad, and I hope that's turning out to be the case. So
It is, and it
yeah.
is such a beautiful campus, a very beautiful campus. Because I've not been at a campus uni before. My previous university was a city uni, and a very pretty city. But this is the first time I'm in a campus uni where everything is self-contained. It is green. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
No, it's magnificent. Yeah. So, Shraddha, I'll just ask you, what specifically are you working on right now? And what's your next milestone when it comes to your PhD?
Well, so as of now, I'd finished an individual project, which was supposed to be a trial period for PhD subjects. It took about 6 months, and I worked on models of social conflict, specifically Axelrod's model of social conflict, which is a simulation agent-based model to see how people form groups based on their opinions. And yeah, that was quite fascinating. Took around 6 months, and I'm just finishing up on that. And I'm finally starting on my proper PhD topic, which is going to be on inverse imaging using machine learning. So we're going to machine learn. I want to machine learn basically based on. Let me see. It's the easiest way to put this. What I'm going to do is look at a lot of data, specifically that comes from the Earth. We're going to send some sort of electric currents, and based on the results that come back, we want to reconstruct an image of what was it that the current was passed through. And we're going to use this to image layers of the Earth specifically. And I'm doing this with Dr. Romina Gaburo. So yeah, that's my PhD right now. I'm using inverse imaging and machine learning specifically.
Okay, that's fascinating. And tell us, could you just say what a typical working day, on your PhD consists of at the moment, Shraddha, working on this topic?
Well, the setup for the Center for Research Training is very different to a traditional PhD route. So in the first semester of year one, I trained remotely due to the pandemic with my cohort, which was around 32 other PhD students. And it was across 3 institutions. It was the University of Limerick, Maynooth, and the University College Dublin. So the first semester was sort of the training period. I completed a lot of block taught technical lectures on applied maths, machine learning, statistics, advanced master classes, and I worked on my project on the Axelrod model. And in the second semester, we had a bit more training. We had research impact, knowledge exchange for mathematics and entrepreneurship, and those were the training models we worked on. But at the same time, throughout both the semesters, we also were teaching assistants for a lot of units. So, well, all of us varied for a lot of units. In the first semester, I was the teaching assistant for a unit that dealt with MATLAB. And this semester, I dealt with a lot of graph theory and linear algebra as a TA. So a typical day involves either lectures or just research, and either being a teaching assistant or attending a lot of master classes.
Okay, great. And could I ask you, I know you just began recently, Shraddha, on your PhD, obviously just what about
a year
about 8 months ago, really? Was it? Yeah. September? Okay. So could you just tell us what or if you have encountered a situation, where you've come across a problem, and could you just tell us how you approached that problem, and in fact how you might have then overcome it if you did so?
Well, a PhD is very different from a traditional taught degree, because that's what I did at the higher education. And before that, we were taught in school, and we had lectures and we had exams. So there was a certain structure that I was used to with traditional taught programs, which you don't have with a PhD, because you have to be the driving force behind it, and you have to take lead, and it requires you to take initiative about the work. And it was challenging because it was new. At first, I was not used to not having a 9-to-5 schedule or an exam. I was not used to that, but that gave me a lot of flexibility, and it put me in charge of my schedule and the direction of my PhD. I was not used to the responsibility at first, because usually you have somebody, an authoritative person, telling you what's the next step. So that was challenging at first, but I think what made me come over that was realizing that this was the best part of a PhD, because it is not truly your own if somebody's going to dictate every step for you. So I think what made me come over it was taking initiative and realizing that this is why I was here. I was here to do what I love, and I think only I can dictate that. Only I can dictate the direction of what I love. So it was taking initiative and planning. I think planning to be self-disciplined in a way, because usually at university you have an authoritative figure or some sort of schedule, so you are disciplined in a way. You have to prepare for an exam when it's coming up and all of that. But yeah, I didn't have all of that, so I think self-discipline and taking initiative helped me come over it. And through that I realized that this is genuinely the best part of doing a PhD, that you're doing the stuff that you love and only you can dictate that. So yeah, I think that's what helped me get past the initial hurdle of not having a proper schedule.
Okay, great. And Shraddha, could I just ask you then, we hear a lot about impact, the impact of your research, and could I just ask you, I'm just going to ask you two things actually, just about, say, the impact of your research in itself, and then the impact you would like to see have of you as a female mathematician, so just if I could just ask you first about, the impact that you hope your research will have, and then the impact that you as a female mathematician will have, or the influence you may have on other potentially female mathematicians of the future.
Well, the impact first, just in general, would be to help people in a certain way. And that's quite an abstract thought, but I do think that by making even the slightest dent in the present literature of machine learning and maths, we are helping people in the long run. So I know the immediate deliverable of my PhD might not be something that's going to change the world and make lives better, but I think I would like to make a slight dent in the slightest way possible to just improve the current literature we have on maybe inverse imaging, to see if it can be used to develop technologies that can help people. For instance, the inverse imaging that I'm using right now, if we do establish a solid ground for it, it can be used for medical imaging. It can be used for maybe detecting the ions in water to see if we have clean water, which would be helpful for people around the world. And again, I know that's not going to be an immediate deliverable of my PhD, but just making the slightest dent in the knowledge, I think that's the best I can hope for. And I do believe that's going to be very useful in the long run. And in terms of being a female mathematician, I think more than I would like people to know that it is possible to be a young, enthusiastic, chirpy person who's naive at times to still be a mathematician, because there seems to be this stereotype that mathematicians have to be very serious old people and have glasses. I do wear glasses, so I don't think I'm entirely shattering the stereotype, but I would like people to know that it is possible to not fit the traditional stereotype of what a mathematician looks like and still be one. Because when I was very young, I saw somebody talk about how, I'm still quite young, but when I was younger, I heard a woman talk about how women are not taken seriously because you don't fit the traditional mold of a serious man who looks like a mathematician. And she mentioned that it is possible to be a young person who likes to have a lot of fun, make silly decisions, but is still a very intelligent person capable of making sophisticated mathematical models. So I would like to change, I mean, even if it's a little bit, I would like to influence people to think that it is possible to not be a serious old person and still be a mathematician. It's possible to be young, and more importantly, it's possible to become a mathematician just because you fell in love with the subject. I do believe that's the only thing that's helped me, because I don't think I'm exceptionally intelligent or anything like that. I think the only reason I'm here is because I genuinely, passionately fell in love with mathematics when I was very young. So as a female, I think I would like to influence people in a way, in the slightest way, if possible, to think that just falling in love with maths passionately is enough to get you here. That's genuinely what you need. Because when you fall in love, you will put in the effort required. So I think that's what I'd like to tell people.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And could I ask you then, Shraddha, just about your own, after your PhD, and it's obvious you have this great passion for it, which is wonderful. Could I ask you what your career aspirations would be, your immediate career aspirations after you graduate with your PhD?
For me, it would be to stay in academia, because like I mentioned, I did work for a company called Charged Up, and it was interesting to be in a work environment, but I really missed being at university. I missed being around people who like the subject as much as I do. So I think my career for now is going to be to stay in academia. And I think that would mean doing a postdoctorate and maybe just staying at university research, because this is genuinely what I love. So I would like to be in this environment for as long as possible.
Great. And I think you more or less have answered what my next question was going to be, which was about, what would you see as the advantage of doing a PhD over, say, being in a work environment for someone at your stage in life, and for someone with your current qualifications?
The first example of an advantage I can think of is the flexibility. We don't have a 9-to-5 job that we need to clock into, and we don't have, like I said, we don't have a lot of rules and deadlines that we need to meet in terms of meetings, in terms of exams, and not exams, but in terms of having deadlines and proposals that you need to submit. So I think the immediate benefit I see is the flexibility. And after that, I think a PhD gives you the luxury to explore what you like, whereas in a corporate environment, you are sort of pinned down to do the work that is beneficial for the company, which is understandable. Whereas at the PhD level, you have the freedom to choose the direction of where your work goes. So I think the most beneficial thing is the flexibility in terms of the lifestyle, but also in terms of, the direction you want your work to take. I think it lets you explore the subject and enjoy it, and at the same time face the challenges that come with it. But I think it's the flexibility that's the main advantage.
Great. And the many challenges that come with it, obviously, as well.
Yeah, the many challenges that come with it. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And what advice would you give to someone then, Shraddha? This would be my last question, I guess. Would be, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking of doing a PhD? Not necessarily a PhD at the University of Limerick, but just, thinking of doing a PhD and continuing on with their engaging in something which they feel passionately about.
I think the first thing I would say is to make sure that you're doing it for yourself and that it's the right decision for you, because you will have to take charge for the next 3 or 4 years. It's going to be a lot of self-initiative, and of course there's going to be an adjusting period for it. But once you do get adjusted to it, it's going to be your journey. So I think the most. I think it's just been a year, so I don't really know any more advice to give people. But I think the best advice I can give is to make sure that this is the right decision for you. And the only way you can do that is by talking to people. So I would insist that you contact the staff, maybe contact previous students that are in the program, and get to know the research, get to know the direction your work could possibly take, and see if that's the right environment for you, because it is 3 or 4 years of your life. So I think it's good to make sure it's the right decision for you.
Excellent. So Shraddha, I just want to say thank you. That's great. It's been fascinating talking to you. There's so many insights there about about the kind of work that you're doing, about the aspirations that you have, and about the way that you'd love to promote female mathematicians of the future, even those not wearing glasses, those wearing glasses and those not wearing glasses. So. Yeah, so
that will be the next step. The future can tell people to not wear glasses. I'm just going to shatter a few stereotypes.
Nothing wrong with wearing glasses, so whatsoever, be it for a mathematician or not. So Shraddha, thank you so much. So Shraddha Naidu from Bangalore in Karnataka in India. It's great to have you here at the University of Limerick. You're doing really, really intriguing and fascinating research, and can't wait to see the results of it. And I'll just wish you're very, very welcome. And I just want to wish you all the best with your PhD research at the Center for Foundations, at the Foundations Data Science Research Training Center. And also just that we look forward to seeing which direction your career goes in after you graduate from the university.
Thank you. You and me both. You and me both. Isn't it lovely speaking to you?
Yeah, great. Great to speak to you, Shraddha, and best of luck, and see you soon. Take care.
So much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.